Fearscape Media Network, exploring the unknown, one podcast at a time.
Support for the Fearscape Media Network is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer just for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code FEARSCAPE at manscaped.com.
Ghosts in the Attics, Bodies in the Basements may contain graphic, violent, vulgar, or explicit content not suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome back to Ghosts in the Attics, Bodies in the Basement, listeners. I'm Anna.
And I'm Lindsay, and we are coming to you today from our very first time recording on Zencastr instead of Zoom.
Yes, shout out to Zencastr and some lovely ladies at the podcast. We will be shouting from the rooftops in the near future for introducing us to this platform. Fingers crossed it goes a hell of a lot better than any Zoom recording has ever went.
We used Zencastr with Fairy Tale Fix a few weeks ago, and let me just say, I immediately went and canceled our Zoom subscription and signed us up for Zencastr.
Fell in love. It gives you a wavelength, which I'm sure none of you care about, but it also tells you how long you're recording, so you're not playing the guessing game. It's really nice.
It's not freezing constantly.
Lindsay, her mic isn't going. It's great.
At least I hope the mic sounds fine. It sounds fine to us in testing.
And
No.
at time of recording, we sound like we're talking on the phone. If you hear anything other than that, please let us know. We are trying so desperately to fix this.
Like I said last time on the last episode, it's just us. We don't have like a sound person who's like an expert at all of this. Our husbands are techies, so they help us as much as possible, but they're not audio people.
And reluctantly so do they help. Before we started recording, I needed to, make sure my mic worked. And sure enough, it did not, because it's a new platform and all the things. And I asked the husband, I was like, he goes, what? I was like, of course. I'll figure it out. He goes, no, just tell me. He was like, microphone's not working. He's like, fucking course it's not. I was like, I'm sorry. I don't know what to do. And he just like clicked 3 buttons. He was like, okay, you're fine. I was like, oh, yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
And then, but funnily enough, with my husband and like helping out with the podcast stuff, I actually kind of have a semi-new setup. I'm sure you've noticed my camera is actually like face level with me now.
Did you buy a tripod instead of your
I did not buy a tripod. I was gifted one as an early Christmas gift from my husband.
Aww.
But what's funny, okay, he is notorious. When he buys Christmas gifts for me, he'll be like, I mean, you can go ahead and open it if you want. And I'm like, I also want gifts under the tree.
Listen,
everybody else is opening stuff on Christmas. I want to open stuff on Christmas.
I want to open shit on Christmas, but I have a problem with waiting for things. It's a troublesome problem. Like, I need instant gratification or to return that fucking present, because if you don't like what I bought you, there's like a 15-day window, okay? I need to know that you're going to like it, or I'm going to get my money and buy you something else. At the end of the day, if you really just suck, I'll give you money because you're stubborn and won't tell me what you want, which is my least favorite thing to do. I would rather meticulously craft a perfect present for a person like say when I drove 8 hours in a prom dress to see Lindsey for her birthday. Like,
Yes.
I very much think that the gift of giving really has to do with how well you know a person.
Right.
And it's funny that we talk about the gift of giving, seeing as this is one of 2 Christmas episodes in December.
Whoop.
Whoop, whoop. So that being said, I'm going to cover some shallow dives into Christmas massacres, which
Mhm.
I didn't know there were so many.
And before we
Ugh.
get real into it, let me point out there's 2 episodes, so you'll get more Christmassy content.
There
The
will
other
be-
holidays, we understand there's more than just Christmas.
There is a time and place for holiday things, and I feel like if you're going to listen to Mariah Carey on repeat, you can listen to me talk about Christmas murders. Just saying.
Sure.
It's so funny. I walked into the office the other day, and my friend Marlena, hi Marlena, hi office people, because she listens to it on like full blast and makes them participate in the listening process. It's funny. Hi Dana, hi David, maybe Charlie, anybody else that's listening, hello. It's so funny because like I was like, who the fuck are you listening to? And I had to stop for a second because Bailey Sarion said something that sounded eerily familiar to the way I said a phrase, and I was like, no, but for real, who are you listening to?
Yeah.
And I was like, is it me or Makeup and Murders? And she was like, it's Bailey Sarion. I was like, okay. I was like,
I love her.
I don't think I sound like her, but in that one specific phrase that she used, I was like, wait. Who the fuck are you listening to right now? And it was just one phrase, because I even had my husband listen, and I don't sound anything like her. Like, she's way
Right.
more chipper and upbeat and positive about life, and I'm none of those things right now. It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Shut up. You're not questioning my existence. I'm not either. I send Lindsey TikToks. I'm like, I'm not crying. You're crying. Shut up.
I cry at like everything.
But like,
I was also most definitely crying.
I don't cry at everything, but there was this one TikTok where this bride, okay, it has nothing to do with Christmas, but hear me out. It was on my For You page yesterday.
I know what video you're talking about because I watched it earlier.
Okay, and then she doesn't. I'm like, hold up. And she turns around and hands it to the girl in the front of the gaggle of people trying to catch the bouquet. And then this guy shows up and he drops to one knee, and I'm like,
It gets even better. It gets even better though, because I have a habit. My husband makes fun of me because if I'm watching a TikTok over his shoulder on his phone, I'll be like, go read the comments. And so like I always read the comments on videos that I'm watching. It's a thing.
I never do. See, that's where I fail.
I always do. I don't know if it's an attention span thing or what, but I'm always reading the comments on these videos. And I read the comments on that video, and the bride had commented, and the guy who proposes is her brother, is the bride's brother.
Oh, see, in my head, the sister got proposed to, so that's even
basically
sweeter.
Though it's the future sister-in-law.
Future sister-in-law. That's so sweet.
For the record,
I don't remember the handle. Lindy, Lord help me. Lindsey can put it in the show notes if we can find the damn TikTok.
I'm sure I'll be able to find it, but
the 5,000 we send each other a day.
I have to say, even though I did not have a wedding, it drives me crazy. Don't propose to people at weddings unless you've like spoken with the couple getting married.
All day. Here for that, because it's not your day, it's their day. They paid thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Hours upon hours of stress.
Right.
Planning.
Just for the dress and cake alone, it's like $5,000. Like, be nice. Ask permission.
Right. And like in that particular situation, that was like what the bride was commenting about, was how she was like, hey, chill out. I was in on this.
I'm sure everybody went ape shit in the comment section. See, I don't look at comments because it's like the news. It stresses me out.
See, I don't know what it is. I love to read the comments, especially if it's something like I'm a little bit confused about. Then I'll go to the comments to see if it's explained. And my least favorite thing is all the comments in sections like that are like, you know, they're well, you don't look at the comments. There'll be ones that are like, point of view, you're in the comments, and like on jump scare videos, we'd be like, point of view, you're hiding in the comments and stuff like that. But then sometimes it'll be like, you're in the comments trying to find an answer and there's no answer. So I'm scrolling and there's just a bunch of comments talking about how there's no answer in the comments. What's the point, content creators?
Right.
Laura, well, your TikTok followers.
Yeah, Laura. God, tell your followers to make comments interesting. No,
my sister's
just
big
kidding.
on TikTok.
She is, and she's big, period. Like, not like size-wise, just like phenomenally awesome. Like, she's
I had to use that sentence at a parent-teacher conference once.
Oh, Lord.
Because we were talking about my oldest daughter, and she was like going through some stuff, and my sister had given me advice, and I was trying to relay that to my teacher. Relay that to her teacher. I'm not in school. Relay that to her teacher of just like this official, but not official in the fact that she has a doctorate. So I'm like, she's not a psychologist or anything, but like, she's really big on TikTok. I was like, she talks about this sort of thing. I was like, that is the weirdest sentence I've ever said.
That's fantastic. My brother is a counselor. Hi, Neil. And he doesn't listen, but like maybe he does. Fuck, I don't know. And if not, hi, Bonus, because I know you love me at least. Bonus is his man. His name's Justin. He's awesome. I love him to pieces. But Neil is a counselor, and he took our childhood trauma and turned it into fabulous things for children who are also experiencing childhood trauma. So he turned his negative life story into a positive life story by taking what you're most terrified of and turning it into your profession. Like, good for him, not for me. I'd be like, oh, your mom's a bitch. And he's like, how do you feel about that?
Right. How do you feel about the fact that your mom is a bitch? No.
He's always like, I'll call him with something, and he's like, but how do you feel? I was like, take your hat off, Neil. He goes, what hat? I go, your therapist hat. Take it off. Take it off. He goes, ugh, I'm not trying to be at work right now. I'm sorry. And you hear his spouse in the background go, sure you're not. Like, it's just so funny. He doesn't know he's even doing it.
That's why you need friends who we're that for each other, and then also add in Blake. Shout out to Blake. Where you have to say, can I be petty for a minute?
Or also, it's not just petty. It's, I need you to listen to me, bitch. I need you to listen to me vent. I need your advice. Like, you need to be very like direct with your line of contact, because if you don't, then you might just want someone to listen, and they may interject with a thought, and you're like, whoa, who asked for your opinion?
It is really nice to be able to go to your friends and be like, look, I just need to be petty for a minute, because if I'm not petty privately with you, it's gonna bleed over into real life where I need to be an adult.
I'm gonna get fired if I say this. Help me. No, not my personal life at all. Right. I'm just saying, in general, that's how it is for people. But it's just one of those things, like, you have to have someone that you can rant and rave to, and whether it's rant in a bad way or a good way, rave in a bad way or a good way, like, whatever. You have to have a person or people that you can connect with on a deep level.
Yep.
And if you don't, find those people. Fuck, we'll be your people. Hi, I want to be your friend.
We definitely want to talk to you all in all of the many countries listening to us. Shout out to New Zealand and Estonia, our newest listeners.
I know. What? Like, listen, I want to know, how the fuck are you finding us? Because we're not my favorite murder.
I'm convinced. I'd be silly for a minute.
Yeah, obviously.
I am convinced that New Zealand started listening to us because in our last episode, me and you got in a debate about Lord of the Rings. And I defended it with my life.
I was
wearing a Lord of the Rings shirt right now.
Fantastic. I'm wearing loungewear, courtesy of Mainstream Boutique of Shawnee. If you like Mainstream Boutique's clothes, or if you've never checked them out, please check them out. They have a Facebook page. They ship. They're fantastic. They take PayPal. And we have a promo code, GABB.
Check it out.
Shh, I didn't tell you that.
I was going to say check it out at the end of the episode, but you put it right in there.
I did. I just spit it right out because I'm so excited. This is the most comfortable clothes, I swear. And it has pockets on the shirt.
Got mine off of Redbubble, which, if you all don't know, we have a Redbubble merch store, but this is not from it. I don't remember what store this is off of. But you know, well, you don't know. You've never seen Lord of the Rings, where he says one does not simply walk into Mordor. Well, that's a line. It's like a very famous line.
I know that says, "This is my ring." Bullshit. That's about all I got.
It says Middle Earth's annual Mordor fun run. One does not simply walk.
That's fantastic.
I love it.
I wish that was an actual competition shirt because that would be fantastic.
I mean, but the orcs killing you kind of brings me off of that. Anyways, moving on.
Listen, I tried to watch that damn movie and Landon came in like 4 times in the first 30 minutes. So I was like, I can't.
Let him watch it too. He
doesn't have the attention span, neither do I, which is why I'm on Adderall. Anywho,
Christmas Massacres.
Christmas Massacres. Oh my goodness. I don't know how many I have. Like I said, I took several shallow dives into the murder pool of Christmas.
I love listicles.
I did a few. They will be in the show notes. But yeah, there are like 3 different listicles, and there's so many things. Like, it's when you think about Christmas, you're like, oh fuck, I have to spend so much money on so many people, and I have to put up a tree and all the things. Or you're not like me, and you're like, oh, pretty music and movies and lights and all the things I get to do. Look,
I'm a combination. I want to see all the pretty decorations. I want my house to be decorated. But the word.
I just want to watch crazy, weird Hallmark Lifetime Christmas movies / Netflix and Hulu has joined in on that party now.
My new boyfriend named Nick. He disappears every Christmas Eve.
Right? I want to watch cheesy ass movies and give presents to people I care about without them bitching that they aren't super expensive or that they are super expensive, like whatever gripe they may have. And I want to just like wear pajamas all day, not answer my damn phone, and unfortunately make French toast, which is the most taxing breakfast food next to pancakes and waffles to make. And just enjoy my family time. That's all I want to do on Christmas. I just want to sit there and make breakfast because nobody else knows how, apparently, and enjoy my husband having to put together 50-11 toys. That's what I like about Christmas. I don't go places like my husband's family. Hi, y'all. They all go places. They go to the parents' house, like his parents' house. Everybody. I don't go. We don't go. You know why? Because it's my fucking day. This one day a year. It's not my birthday, but it's my one day a year where I can put on pajamas and not give a fuck and not answer my phone and not be a person. And it's fine. It's just family only. Because the last thing my kid wants to do on Christmas is open all the fun shit and then leave it for 7 hours and go somewhere else. That is not an option on the table. I don't know about anybody else. If you can do it, props to you. I don't know how to make my child not a dick. So I love him, but he's a whole person, not just a person. He's a whole person with a big personality. Shit, he almost got suspended from school yesterday.
Oh, that's a fun story.
So they're playing some Cookie Monster bullshit game. I don't know.
Cookie King is what the voicemail said.
Okay, Cookie King.
I don't know what it is.
I have no fucking clue. Something they either made up or got from YouTube. And I'm in a fucking meeting. I'm getting emails from his teacher. I'm getting voicemails and calls from the principal. Like, it's a whole thing. I text my husband, I go, handle this, which he did. But I specifically told the teacher, I was like, hey, heads up, I'm at work. Contact my husband. Of course, they didn't comprehend that, so whatever. And it turns out they were playing some cookie game, and he got kneed in the nuts, and he shoved a kid to the ground, and this kid came up swinging, so he went to swing. The teacher grabbed his arm and said, let's go to the office, and it was like a whole thing.
They were just play fighting.
They were play fighting, but it turned real when he got kneed in the nuts. Like,
yeah, I blame him there.
I feel that. That's an injury. Like, you come out clawing like a cat that got dipped in water, like whatevs. So,
Right.
he almost got suspended, and then some things, I'm not going to say what, because I'm not going to be that descriptive, but something went missing from the classroom, and the teacher frantically couldn't find it and told all of the parents, if you find it, please let me know immediately. Guess what? No one found it in their kids' stuff. It was somewhere in her classroom. And all I could think the entire time was, if he would have had it, he would be expelled.
Right.
Like that's all I could think of.
3 strikes in 1 day, sir. You're gone.
More like 10, but yeah, I was like, please don't have this. Please don't have this. And all the while, I'm going to lunch and learns, which is a fancy way to say we eat lunch and learn something fun, and networking, and then driving like my life away. And I'm getting all these things coming through my phone. I'm just like, I just want to find my way home. Oh, and then my fucking radio decides to stop being like a GPS service for me. It plays my music and gives no map.
Weird.
So I unplug, replug, do all the things. It doesn't do anything as told. So I'm just like driving with my phone like on my lap, and then at points in my hand, like steering the car. Very unsafe. Don't do this. But I didn't know where the fuck I was going.
Yeah.
So how am I going to find it if I can't look at my phone?
Right.
It was so exhausting. And like, it hasn't done it since, knock on wood, that it does not do it again. But apparently it could be as simple as a fuse, or as troublesome as you need a whole new radio. Listen, I don't have time for that kind of nonsense in my life right now. So if the fairies could stop their bullshit, I would appreciate it.
Sorry for talking about you on our very first episode, damn near close to a year ago.
Right? We tried to make you like important to other people, not just us. I'm sorry we made you mad.
So Christmas Massacres.
Christmas Massacres. All right. So I have like a ton. I'm just going to start at the top of my Word document because that's where I live. If I don't have like a list of links and things to talk about, I'm going to get lost. So
same.
Shout out to Microsoft Word. You keep me running.
I'm on Google Docs, but same.
It'll all be on Google Docs eventually. I haven't got that far yet.
I could talk so long about Google right now, but I'll digress.
Yeah, Google is really interesting. If you want a bitching episode, we will make one about it. Hey, Google. So Christmas Massacre.
Christmas Massacres.
Specifically, the Covina Christmas Massacre. Topic number 1. Covina, a Los Angeles suburb, was a grisly crime scene on Christmas Eve of 2008. The killer, Bruce Jeffries Pardo, showed up at a holiday party wearing a festive Santa costume. That sounds nice enough. Except the problem was he wasn't invited to said party, and he was out for blood, guys.
Oh.
Yeah. Pedro opened fire on his ex-wife Sylvia Ortega Pedro and approximately 25, nearly 30 people, guys, including an 8-year-old girl. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. She answered the door. And before unwrapping the gift he had brought her, a homemade flamethrower. And I quote, because winter holidays have a strong promotion of being family holidays, murder during these times is often associated with the killer having a recently lost loved one, having anger toward a rejected former lover or spouse, or being resentful of a family that appears to have it all, explains Dr. Renee Carr, a clinical psychologist. So Pedro, his divorce had just been finalized a few weeks before, and the police speculated that this was the trigger to the massacre that led to 9 people, including Sylvia and her parents, being killed. Though Pedro carried a plane ticket that was pointed to a getaway plane, He took his own life shortly after the attack, but not before starting a fire that consumed the entire fucking house.
God.
I know. Like I said, this is a very depressing, like, oh shit, Christmas is dark episode. Sorry, guys. Love you.
I was going to say, when you had mentioned Christmas Massacres and how long the list was, I was like, I guarantee, because a lot of people feel obligated to spend time with family, even when they don't get along with that family.
Yep.
And then you add in this other layer, like this particular case, where it's a former spouse.
Or you add in financial difficulties, like you name it. The list is infinite as to why the holidays could be crappy. And
it's not an excuse to murder, y'all.
No,
it's not.
You know, there's this thing called, I'm not sponsored, but if you want to, I wouldn't be opposed. You know, like BetterHelp.com and TalkSpace. Like, if you can't find a therapist in your area, those people are on the internet. They're on your phone. It's fantastic.
Going to the emergency room would be better than going and murdering people.
No shit. Oh, back to the story. Sorry. Carr says often these psychopathic. I can't say
psychopathic.
Psychopathology. We're gonna go with that. Behind holiday rage is a murderer's lack of empathy. God. Oh, it's the wine. Just kidding. Lack of empathy for other humans or living things. Quote, this is most likely born from a childhood of the murderer. If they are severely neglected or abused psychologically, emotionally, or sexually, says Carr. Now, as an adult, the person will unconsciously transfer these feelings and thoughts into rage that ultimately can lead to aggression and possibly murder. End quote. That's terrifying. That's just one of these shallow dives, okay? The Dallas
already
Christmas
feeling
killings.
A little heavy.
The Dallas Christmas killings, another killing took near Christmas, was Aziz Isdampina. Sorry if you could hear my Google Translate. I do not speak that language. Who donned a festive red and white outfit in anticipation of his rampage on December 5th of 2011. He entered his estranged wife's Dallas, Texas home and began shooting the family. They had just finished unwrapping presents. In all, he murdered 6 people, including his wife, his 2 children, and then himself.
Family annihilators, man. They're worst of the worst, I feel.
I do, too. The victims and 2 handguns were discovered in the kitchen and the living room, with presents and unwrapped paper littering the floor. Isdampina had been dealing with financial and marital issues, which detectives believe may have contributed to his mindset before the murder-suicide happened. Like the Covina
Seems
case,
financial is usually what family annihilators do.
I feel like that's a lot of the time what it causes, but marital issues on top of that, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
Like the Covina case, it's likely the suicide was a last-minute decision when he found himself overwhelmed. The crime scene showed that he tried to frame his brother-in-law by placing one of the guns in his hand.
Good.
According to Carr, the people who committed the violent acts during the holidays are often consumed by feelings of rejection, usually by a love interest or a former lover, or even someone they have been flirtatious with. Typically, they target their victims specifically, and their violence is a direct expression of their frustration, anger, hate, or rage towards a person, Carr says. Carr says these attacks are often fixated on the fantasy of the holidays, being synonymous with love, family, and fun. That's horrifying. They believe their intended victim to be the reason they are suffering and deprived of the ideal holiday situation.
When you're going out and killing your entire family, including your children, you're the reason your holiday sucks.
No shit. So that's 2 of 1,000, I swear. Not really, but it feels like it. On to the Lawson family murders. Have you ever heard of this?
I don't recognize the name right off the bat.
On Christmas Day in 1929, a tobacco farmer, Charlie Lawson, killed his wife and all but one of his children at his North Carolina home. Just days after getting together for an expensive family portrait, and shortly after his eldest son, Arthur, went hunting, Lawson hid by the barn and ambushed his daughters, shooting and then bludgeoning them. Then he walked back towards the house, killing his wife on the porch. He hunted down his oldest daughter and 2 youngest sons who were hiding inside. Then he went into the woods where he killed himself. The sole survivor of the massacre was Arthur, who was 16 years old. He had gone into town for some extra ammunition and after his first initial hunt of the morning. Although we still don't know why he killed his family, Carr says the murders in general are more likely to be committed by someone in the victim's family than by a stranger. Quote, people who murder their families or a family member during the holidays are likely to have repressed anger, harbored hostility, jealousy, or frustration with the family member or member they represent. Because the holidays are expected to be a happy time, the family-filled, unhappy family members are experiencing a psychological break where they can no longer repress their uncomfortable thoughts or feelings of rage. Murders of this type are often reactive and unplanned.
So he hunted his children down, so it may have been initially unplanned.
But he planned it
kept going.
Yeah, he didn't oh shit, and then stop.
What did I do?
Yeah. So that's
awful.
The first listicle. On the second, like I said, there's 3 of these, and it breaks my heart every time I read any of it. A grim gift left under the Christmas tree. 37-year-old Patty White offered, down on her luck, Michelle O'Donnell a place to stay over the festive period. So over the holidays, she offered her friend a place to stay. Michelle was delighted at the Christmas spirit being shown to her. However, White had an ulterior motive, one involving stealing all of her new housemates' credit cards, killing her, and leaving her among the trashed Christmas tree to look like a burgled home.
That took a turn that I was not expecting.
I didn't expect that either, and I'm just sitting here oh my god, what? You thought this person was being kind and friendly towards you in your down of luck situation, and then they
and then they do that
and murder you and leave you to look like you were killed by an intruder. That's horrible.
Awful.
So Michelle's twin brother, Phil, went to check on her after she failed to show up for work the day after Christmas, and amongst a pile of wrapped Christmas presents, he saw his sister's foot.
God.
Patty White had been beaten and strangled. She was 67 years old and left among the gifts. So this poor woman was just beaten and strangled to death at, I feel, a young age, and just left among...
I mean, my initial picturing was more around our age.
Right.
But still, it kind of makes it worse to me that she was older. It's then you're just taking advantage of older people. I mean, taking advantage of anybody's awful, but it happens a lot more often to older people and to children. It really
does, and it's horrible. Elders and children are so heavily victimized, and it's just so heartbreaking. The longer we do this podcast, the more devastated my worldview gets.
Right, because when you're into true crime, we've talked about before, it kind of helps us try to make sense of things that don't make sense to us, how could somebody kill somebody? But then to see it in detail, that's one thing to hear it in passing. Another thing to do research into it to be able to cover it. It's oh, It's a lot worse than I initially thought, and I already thought it was bad.
Right. So Miss Patty White received a 45-year sentence from the South Carolina judge for her vile crimes against her friend. I mean, rightfully fucking so. That's horrible. The next one in this listicle that I found says a couple stabbed a man in his face, bashed in his skull, and set him to light. So set him on fire on Christmas Day in a Kill Bill, like the movie, style plot.
What?
Right? That had me intrigued. So in Victoria, Australia, if you're listening, Australia, hi.
If you have listeners there.
I don't know if we have any in Victoria, but we do have.
I'm pretty sure we do. I'm going to check.
You do that, and I'll keep reading. It was 2013, Christmas Day. Instead of spending the day with loved ones, William, or Bill Stevenson, pays the ultimate price for keeping poor company as his friends. Meth addicts, Danielle Kerr and Darren Lewis, kill him in one of the most violent ways you could conceive. Their motives are not entirely clear. The pair drove Stevenson out to the bushland and began beating him in the head with a large rock. Kerr then stabbed the man to death while chuckling about their Kill Bill plans. That's horrible. The couple then set the car afire and casually walked the fuck home.
Yeah.
They would eventually be arrested and charged and then convicted soon afterwards.
Right.
Another Christmas murder, it's so weird that there's so many, is the marvelous, in parentheses, teen gang indulged in sickening festive killings. Sorry, I can't read. I don't have my glasses on.
Festive killing?
Yeah. Marvelous teen gang indulged in sickening festive killing spree. So there were 4 teenagers, and they called themselves the Downtown Posse. The police and the courts thought they were simply Laura Taylor, who is 16, DeMarcus Smith, who is 17, Heather Matthews, 20, and the marvelous Keene, who is 19. Between Christmas Eve and Boxing Day.
It's another holiday.
Please insert day I don't remember. In 1992, the gang went on a murder spree in Dayton, Ohio, that would set 5 innocent people to their death, and 4 were seriously injured.
Yeah.
Led by Keene, the gang's primary motive was robbery. However, things soon got out of hand as the marvelous Keene grew paranoid about snitches, and the holiday season turned into a hunting season.
The Purge.
His central role in the Christmas killings, Keene would go on to become the 10,000th American convict to be executed since the death penalty was reinstated back in 1976, while his cohorts would receive life sentences.
Yeah.
Right? Another horrifying case is a search for a missing Bristol woman, and it turns out to be a hunt for her killer. Joanna Yates disappeared a few weeks before Christmas in 2010. It made local news in Bristol almost immediately. Soon the search appeared everywhere, and the whereabouts were of national interest. And on Christmas Day, her body was found in the snow 3 miles from her home. That's so sad.
Yeah.
The case achieved notoriety for the media's handling of the first suspects. Joanna's eccentric landlord, Christopher Jeffries, hounded and efficiently labeled the murderer without proof. UK tabloids, the Mirror, the Sun, were also found guilty of contempt of court for their poor coverage of Jeffries, and he was later vindicated when Miss Yates' Dutch neighbor Vincent Tabak was arrested and charged with her murder. You would think I'd stop there, but no, there's more horror. I don't even know how there's so many horrifying things that go on around Christmas that I didn't know about.
I guess it's just such a stressful time of year.
However, I feel like that's a lot to do with it, but seasonal depression, etc., on top of whatever you're dealing with your family, I mean, I can't even imagine. This is a case of a transgendered woman in Edinburgh. Can't talk today. Excuse my lapse in judgment for drinking wine. Woman who was stabbed 29 times over a Christmas present dispute.
Oh my gosh.
Murder, not for liking a gift. Do you think that's something you should be murdered over, not liking a gift?
No.
Well, that was the excuse of the 37-year-old Melissa Young gave when she talked to the police when she was arrested for the brutal killing of her next-door neighbor, Alan Williamson, on Christmas Day of 2013. Young later claimed the responsibility that her mental health issues were behind the subsequent attack. At the time, though, her motive was given as rage, sheer rage, due to his dismissal and rejection of her Christmas present, a pair of unisex trainers, so I'm guessing in America we'd call them sneakers, and a copy of the Sun newspaper slightly raunchy 2014 calendar edition. She pled guilty to culpable homicide in 2014 and was sentenced to a minimum of 20 years sentence. Since being jailed in the women's prison of MPH Corton Valley in Stirling, she has seriously assaulted 2 female prison officers. Good Lord, I can't talk. This is why I need my glasses, which are somewhere in my bedroom. Lost. Bleh. This one is titled The Christmas Rampage. December 28th, 1987, Ronald Gene Simmons walked into a law firm in Russellville, Arkansas. Sounds innocent enough. Except he shot dead the receptionist who he was infatuated with, but who had kind of turned down his advances. When he went into the office of the oil company and shot the 2 executives, killing one and injuring the other, he then drove to a convenience store and former place of employment and shot 2 more people whom would both survive, thankfully. Finally, he would do the same at the Woodland Motor Freight Company, shooting and wounding a woman. He then sat down and waited for police to arrest him. The spree rocketed the state, but the murders were merely booked as an evil festive period in Simmons' life. 6 days previously, he had shot and strangled his wife, 2 sons, and 4 daughters. But that's not it. He then sat in the house among the dead bodies for 4 days. I know. Only leaving to visit the local bar. And on Boxing Day, 9 more relatives turned up to visit Simmons' family, including Ronald Simmons' grandchildren. All were killed. In total, he took 16 lives that Christmas. On the 25th of June in 1990, the Arkansas governor, Bill Clinton, signed Simmons' execution warrant, and he was killed by lethal injection. I can't read. I don't have my glasses on. This one says, 'Twas the night before Christmas, and fire tore through the house. That doesn't sound good. No, not at all.
No.
On Christmas Eve in 1945, the
Not
city
at all
of
what you want.
Fayetteville, West Virginia, a suspicious house fire tore through the Sauter family home. George and Jeannie Sauter, along with their 2 oldest sons and their youngest daughters, survived, but their middle 5 children or any of their remains were never found. The whereabouts were never determined, though many locals, amateur sleuths, and true crime fans suggest that an organized crime syndicated may have well been behind the fire. I can't talk, I can't read, I can't do anything today.
Goodness.
Yay, wine. The Sauters decide to dedicate their lives to trying to find out what happened that Christmas, but died later in life without ever finding out what exactly happened. That's heartbreaking. This one is the Legger Lee, the seasonal showdown. So, Lee Shelton was a known criminal and pimp who went by the name of Stegger Lee. Famous now because of the folk song who would be inspired by Shelton, wasn't a man to be trifled with, known as William Billy Lawson, would discover this to be his cost in life, I guess. This murder took place on Christmas night in 1895 in St. Louis, Missouri. Stagler and Billy were drunk and playing cards together, and the Bill Curtis Saloon, when, wouldn't you know, they got into a dispute. Oh, of course, a card game gone awry. That's why I don't play games, guys. I'm too competitive. Lion snatched Stagler's Shelton's hat, and, well, you've seen the Westerns. He drew his gun, shot Lyons dead, and the rest is history. History and a song. So that is history and a song, and that covers all of my shallow dives for this episode. Next episode will be a deep dive, although probably never deep enough for all of those who are wondering. It'll be JonBenet Ramsey. It's horrifying, it's heartbreaking, it's devastating. There's so many words. Tune in next time for me to cover that. But right now, after all that heaviness, what do you have for me, Miss Lindsay?
Well, I am so happy to tell you is nothing as dark as what we just went through. So get ready for some lightheartedness.
I had no idea so many people were murdered on or around Christmas.
I know.
It's insane.
Listen, holidays are difficult for everybody. It's more difficult for some people. If it's difficult for you to be around family, don't go around your family. You don't have to. You don't owe anybody anything. And I'm not saying that any of our listeners would go and kill their family because of the holidays being stressful, but let's just make it clear. Or if you're afraid that your crazy uncle might go kill people, you don't have to go around him.
Absolute facts. You do not have to go around people that make you uncomfortable. You do not have to go around people that make you uneasy or disrupt your mental health. By the way, you matter. Back to Lindsay.
So it's wintertime, and what better thing to think about this time of year than the possibility of being snowed in at a haunted hotel with your family.
Oh, I love that.
Like the Torrance family in The Shining. Which of course, is not really something plausible down here in Texas. We've had cold days, but for the most part, we're still in the 70s on most days. But,
yep.
We lived in Colorado. We know what it's like. Anyways, The Shining. So if you don't know, somehow, The Shining is a novel by Stephen King where Jack Torrance, his wife Wendy, and their son Danny move up to the Overlook Hotel for the winter for Jack to work as the groundskeeper while it's closed for the season. but things aren't as they seem at the Overlook, and shit gets crazy. And I actually read The Shining. Right. I actually read The Shining for the first time like 2 years ago. Oh, it was so good.
It's on my to be read list. It's so fucking long.
I found it. I mean, I don't think it's any longer than any other Stephen King stories.
Oh, I meant my list. My list of books to read is so damn long.
Oh, same. Big same. But, so yeah, the book was really, really, really good. And of course, we all know the famous or infamous, whichever way you want to look at it, version of the movie with Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall.
Did you know, fun fact, that Stephen King
hates
it so much?
That's why I said, or infamous, whichever.
But I just think it's interesting, like, for me, having not read The Shining by Stephen King and growing up with this phenomenal movie in my mind, if I read the book, will it suck? Or also, if I read the book, well, then I hate the movie? Will I turn into Stephen King? Please, God, let that be a possibility.
I mean, I will say, I read the book more recently than I've seen the movie. I don't really know. But I mean...
It's one of my favorite Christmas movies, which is so fun.
I mean, I put it on the Christmas episode. I literally said, it's wintertime.
But it's like Elf, the Santa Claus trilogy, and The Shining.
Hey, if people can watch Die Hard for some reason, you can watch The Shining.
Yes, thank you. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. Fight me.
I've actually never seen it.
It's whatever. It's an action movie. I don't like action movies. I'm not that bitch. I like funny movies and sometimes rom-coms, but usually stoner comedies. That's where it's at.
But
there's a reason I love Kevin Smith. I don't know why.
No. But
if he made a Christmas movie, I would die. Could
that'd
you
be
imagine?
really good.
It would be so good. And Harley Quinn could play like the damsel in distress that moves back from New York City or LA to bumfuck nowhere. The Shining. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, Shining. So what a lot of people might not know, unless you lived in Colorado for years like we did, is that Stephen King felt inspired to write The Shining after he stayed at the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado.
And fun fact, the first year I lived in Colorado, it snowed in June. So you never know what you're going to get no matter where you live in terms of weather. But it's always fun to see snow in the middle of summer.
We actually went to the Stanley Hotel a couple months after we moved to Colorado. My mom and my sisters flew out to visit us.
Oh,
and we drove up to Estes Park. And that week, aside from going up to Estes Park, where I think we just wore like hoodies. I don't think we had to wear like a big coat or anything. And then we also went snowboarding that week and swimming at my apartment complex that week. So that right there sums up Colorado weather for you all. That was in April of 2010.
That sounds like Oklahoma weather.
Right?
It's been 80 degrees, 40 degrees, and 56 degrees
all
in the
this
last
week.
3 days alone. Yeah,
it's been like that down here too. It's crazy. One day,
I can't get over my cold from October. I'm pissed about it.
Right, the weather. Ugh. But anyways, the Stanley Hotel. So, in 1903, an inventor named Freeland Oscar Stanley came to the valley that is Estes Park as treatment for tuberculosis. Because if you remember from our Waverly Hills episode, tuberculosis, like a very huge common treatment for that was fresh air, and especially mountain air, like what you find in Colorado. And so he goes up there, feels better after like a summer up there, and he loves it so much that he vows to return there every summer for the rest of his life.
Okay.
Right?
That sounds pleasant.
Look, I think I talked about it before on the Denver episode I did about the Brown Hotel. I like Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I like it as much as these people back then did.
Right. Listen, when we lived there was a mass shooting going on.
Yeah,
so
we did an episode on that too. Here, I just talked about 3 other episodes we did. Look at us. Connections.
Look at us plugging shit. What? On accident.
Look at us remembering things we covered. So so FO, which is how he's referred, FO Stanley and his wife Flora wanted the feel of the sophisticated East Coast that they were from. They were Yankees. And they wanted that society, but they wanted to be in Estes Park. And obviously, tiny little town in the foothills of the mountains, like wilderness everywhere. It does not offer the same amenities as the East Coast did. And so they decided to build a grand hotel, and thus the Stanley Hotel opened in 1909. So the Stanley Hotel was this beautifully lavish, like posh hotel, similar to what you would find on the East Coast. Had electric lights, telephones, ensuite bathrooms, which isn't it so strange to think that used to not be common?
Right.
Like, how posh this is. It has bathrooms in the rooms. Oh, and they had like a fleet of steam cars that were designed by Stanley, which I have seen one of those. They're really cool. But it's all surrounded by the Colorado wilderness. It was truly like a sight to be seen. All the guests who came were always so amazed by it. And then in addition to the hotel, Stanley had also helped out the town of Estes Park, which then allowed it to become its own actual municipality, however you say it, with its own water, power, etc. in 1917. But over the years, though, the hotel began to get a little bit run down. They didn't have like the people caring for it as they did like in its prime. And so,
I mean, lack of funding and staffing, I can see that.
Yeah. And like on the Stanley Hotel's website, it actually states, quote, "It might have eventually have succumbed to the wrecking ball if not for the fortuitous visit by author Stephen King. A stay of one night was enough to inspire his third major work and first hardcover bestseller, The Shining, which remains a landmark masterpiece and a long and well-known list of novels." And so Stephen King stayed at the Stanley Hotel one night. It was inspired to write The Shining.
I would just like to point out, tidbit. Me and Lindsey wrote our very first novel together, and we named the character, like the main male character. Stephen
Charles.
What's his last
name? Stephen Charles. What was his last name? That book we wrote?
Who the fuck were we after? Stephen Charles. And it's after Stephen King and Chuck Palahniuk. So if you ever wonder what we like,
that's little factoid about us. So when you do Lindsey and Anna trivia in the future, when we're huge and famous, you can know where the name Stephen Charles came from.
When we get like 3 more countries, we'll do something fun.
Maybe for our anniversary birthday party, we'll do a trivia. Except for that would require our listeners to actually communicate with us. So here is your
outside of the few people that do. Hey everyone, talk to us. We're lonesome.
Send us emails with other factoids you want to know. But anyway.
Or stories that you have.
Yes, everything. Just talk to us. But anyways, back to the Stanley Hotel. Today, the hotel is restored and is a popular retreat destination. And you can stay in one of the beautifully historic rooms, or even just come walk the grounds of the day or take a tour. I mentioned we went back in April of 2010 after we had moved to Colorado. Unfortunately, due to scheduling, because I told y'all everything we did that week, it was a busy week. We could only do the historic tour and not the night ghost tour, which would have been bomb. But
although I don't think anything can top your tour of Kurt Cobain's house.
Oh, so even though we didn't get to do the ghost tour, we still got to experience some stuff. Like they still talked about ghostly things, just probably not as in depth as they would if you did an actual ghost tour. Maybe someday. But the Stanley Hotel is haunted. But I hate to be the bearer of bad news, or maybe this is great news to you. The ghosts at the Stanley Hotel are not nearly as gruesome and intense as the Overlook Hotel in The Shining.
Thank God for that.
Right? No creepy old lady crawling out of the bathroom or bathtub. That would be.
Or those 2 little girls at the end of the hall.
But, like, those do have, like, both of those things, which I'm about to get into, have basis from stories from the Stanley. But obviously Stephen King did his Stephen King magic with those things. And
come play with us.
I hate it. Hate it so much. I actually saw those twins from a distance at a con a few years ago. I say from a distance because I didn't. The legitimate actresses who played those little girls in The Shining.
Goals.
Laura and I went to Frightmare in Fort Worth, like DFW area, back in 2017. 2017?
I thought it was 17. Maybe.
Oh, it was 2015, I think, or 2016. Sometime within the years that I lived in that area, we went to a con. It was 2015 because Laura was there for Nora's first birthday.
Oh.
Anyways, so in 2015, we went to Frightmare, and we saw them from the distance. Like, we didn't have like the tickets to go meet them or whatever. But we saw them from the distance. We saw Elvira from a distance too.
Oh, I love Elvira. She's gold.
And who else did we see?
Malcolm
McDowell. Malcolm McDowell.
Okay. Give me a movie.
Clockwork Orange.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. We saw him from a distance too. We were broke.
Not names.
We did get to meet. Why did his name just leave? Captain Spaulding. What is his fucking name? Why did his name? Sid Haig.
Sid Haig.
That was our second time meeting Sid Haig. I miss him.
Fun fact about Lindsey. When I met her, Emmeline was going on her first Halloween, and she was going to be Captain Spaulding, but the costume didn't work out, so she was a tiny dinosaur, and it was the cutest thing ever.
Destructo Baby.
However, she was Destructo Baby, and it was the best Halloween costume ever. I don't think anything could have fit more perfectly, but the original concept was Captain Spaulding.
It was, and I had the little hat, but I couldn't get the rest of the costume, so that was disappointing.
It was such an excellent idea.
But back to the Stanley Hotel versus The Shining. So those famous spirits from The Shining have inspiration from the reality. And the first one being the lady in the bathtub is in room 217, right?
Oh, snap.
So that, like I said, not real. There is a room that is haunted by who used to be the head housekeeper. And the story there, which I am reading from a website called Nightly Spirits, and I'll have that, of course, in the show notes. But it says, in 1911, during a large storm, the head housekeeper, Mrs. Wilson, was lighting the lanterns in room 217 when there was an explosion. Elizabeth was blasted through the floor into the McGregor dining room below. Believe it or not, she survived with only broken ankles. Now she spends most of her afterlife still taking care of the room. Guests have reported items moved, luggage unpacked, and lights being turned on and off. Mrs. Wilson is very old-fashioned. She isn't a fan of unmarried guests sleeping there in the same bed, so some couples have reported feeling a cold force come between them. When they wake up, they often find that the man's things have been packed with luggage by the door.
Hell yeah.
And then another shout out to yet another episode we've done. Jim Carrey stayed in that room while he was filming Dumb and Dumber.
I just watched, because I got on TikTok, God forbid I do anything but TikTok, and it was talking about Jim Carrey singing, and so my brain goes to the Cable Guy where he says Somebody to Love, and he sings it on karaoke, and I just singed it to my husband, and he's like, stop, I can't. It gives me so much serotonin, I can't.
Reportedly, Jim Carrey stayed in room 217 when he was filming Dumb and Dumber, and he apparently got so spooked out that he ran out of the room half naked in the middle of the night. The other thing, we talked about the twins. So basically, when we went on the tour, they said that when guests went out there for the summer, a lot of times the kids would kind of go do their thing, like playing and stuff, and they were on the 4th floor. And so now it's like the kids are still going there for the summers, and like you can hear kids playing and whatnot.
Oh, snap.
And I remember when we were on the tour and we went to the 4th floor, they talked about this. And I remember they had us all stand around the hallway and like put our hands out, like palms up. And we sang Ring Around the Rosies. And you could feel like pressure on your hands.
I don't like that.
But the thing is, and like it's hard to really describe having not been there, like for people who have not been there. But like that, the tour guide emphasized it and whatnot, is that it's not negative energy.
True.
Like it just feels like they loved their vacation home so much, or their, you know what I mean, not a home, but where they went and stayed for their vacation so much that they're just there now.
Well, and it's not like a demon screaming your child's name in the middle of the night.
Right.
It's just somebody
just kids having
enjoying
fun.
their afterlife.
It's not, come play with us, Danny, with blood gushing down the hallway.
Right.
Also, in reference to another Stephen King story, there's a pet cemetery on the property, but obviously long before cemetery with an S came about. But they say that you can see like sometimes a golden retriever and a fluffy white cat on the property.
Oh,
right. So it's all like really sweet stuff, and
and it's also terrifying.
It's like just enough stuff that somebody with a mind as fucked as Stephen King's and turn it into this masterpiece of a horror story.
Yes.
There's another thing on this website, and I'm not getting into every single thing. I would highly recommend you go onto the website I'm linking. But another thing that I had forgotten about, except for I can remember taking a picture with it, that they have caves underground.
Ooh, fun.
And it says on the description, if you take the 75-minute historic Stanley night, you will get an in-depth look at the underground cave system beneath the hotel. We saw it, and that we did not do a night tour, but I guess we got to see like the basics of it or whatever. This is the caves have a high concentration of limestone and quartz, which, I don't know if you know this, I learned this from Ghost Adventures. Limestone and quartz draw energy, paranormal energy.
I did not know that.
Yes. And so the caves have been used by employees to get around the hotel, and it would seem that at least one of them is still down there. Current employees say the smell of home-baked goods linger in the tunnel with no apparent source. They attribute this to the pastry chef who worked at the Stanley Hotel when it opened. There's also a gray cat seen stalking with bright green glowing eyes, but he is not known to be from the pet cemetery, so who knows where he came from. But I mean, it's a wilderness, so who knows where that cat could have come from. I also remember, I cannot remember the details, and I asked my mom, and she didn't remember either. But I also remember there being another spirit there, and I can't remember if it was F.O. Stanley or if it was somebody else who stayed there, like famously.
Right.
I can't remember, so forgive me for this lapse of information. But they talked about how sometimes you can smell his cigar smoke, and we could smell it.
Oh,
and,
how wild.
And it's not like they tell you this while you're standing next to a vent that you didn't notice in the corner. You know what I mean? Like, we organically smelled it, like walking in this area. Like, it's like a hallway or something. My mom thinks it was like in the basement, maybe. Oh no, this was 11 years ago. But either way, I remember smelling that. And I remember right after we smelled it is when we took a bathroom break, and me and Laura took pictures in the mirror with doing the little finger going rad rah, rad rah. So, yeah. And apparently, I don't remember seeing this, but according to this, that there was a hedge maze in front of the Stanley Hotel, which, of course, you think the topiary plants come into life and whatnot in The Shining. And, of course, there's no actual ghosts there, but it freaks people out, which is why I brought it up.
See, I've heard multiple things like it exists or it does not exist, so it's nice to know that it potentially does.
Like, yes, I don't remember seeing it, and I know we were like out in front of the hotel because I remember we saw like a wedding party taking pictures and stuff. So now, I don't know. I do remember they also had an outbuilding. I don't remember what it was. No, I'm talking about like on the actual like tour.
Oh, I've never been on the tour before. I didn't get to go anywhere fun in Colorado. Just Sam's Club and the grocery store.
And that pizza place.
Oh my gosh. Side note.
And Sam's number 3, duh.
Well, Sam's number 3
Shout out to Sam's number 3 in Aurora, Colorado.
They also have one in
Denver. The original one's in Denver on Colfax, right?
Yeah, Denver on Colfax. It's so good. But there was this place called Three Guys Pies.
Oh.
And my daughter was obsessed with Toy Story and
Pizza
Planet. So we tried to find the Pizza Planet style sit-down pizza joint. And it said Three Guys Pie. Fun fact, and it's in an Irish bar.
Yeah. We thought we were lost the first time.
Family friendly. My daughter went to a bar at 3 years old.
Worth it for that pizza.
Excellent pizza.
It's like one slice was the size of a paper plate.
They were not fucking around, I'll tell you that much.
There is a place down here in our area. It's like a little local restaurant, so I will not plug the name just for privacy purposes. But pizza's that big. Their small pizza is the size of like a Domino's large.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. It's so good, too. Ugh. Love that restaurant. But anyways,
pizza.
I will say, if you are in the Estes Park, Colorado area, or Boulder, it's kind of near to Boulder, or anywhere. It's like we lived in Aurora and we drove up there for a day. I highly recommend you go check out the Stanley Hotel. They have tours in the day, tours at night. You can stay in the rooms like it is a hotel. Absolutely gorgeous. Like pictures. I was actually on my Facebook looking at my pictures from it the other from earlier today when I was putting this all together, and like pictures don't even do it justice. It's gorgeous up there. And it's not creepy. Like I said, it's hard to explain. You would think it's creepy because it inspired like this creepy, terrifying story. It's really not. Really nice.
It's a beautiful establishment. And on top of that, there's a fantastic book and movie that go along with it.
Although, if you want to stay true to Stephen King, I would highly recommend you not watch the movie. But as a sidebar, it is a good movie.
No shit.
But yes, that is the Stanley Hotel.
And the gruesome, however many tales I told
so
today
many
of Christmas murders and massacres. It blows my mind. I'm not even going to lie.
It's one of those things where it's like, it's mind-blowing to hear it in a list, but also makes sense when you think of how hard the holidays can be for people. But, you know, as we always say here at GABB, doesn't matter how messed up your life is, you still shouldn't kill people.
Fact.
Bad things happen to tons of people, and they don't kill people.
It is the holiday season currently, if you're listening fresh off the boat. If not, you may be listening 5 years from now. Who knows? But currently, it is 2021 holiday season in December. We have one more Christmas spectacular episode to bring you. And we will definitely be excited to see you in the new year to celebrate our 1-year anniversary and my birthday and so much more.
There's a lot coming up that's going to be great.
It's going to be so fun. But I will say, if you have any special requests, please hit us up at gabbpodcast@gmail.com or GABB Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And with that, we say, happy tales. Stay spooky, listeners.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello.
Hey, Anna. Is that a new outfit? You look super cute.
It is. I just went to this really cute store in town called Mainstream Boutique.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's a really awesome store. It's like my little hidden secret. It's locally owned by a really wonderful woman named Kim. She's the kindest, most genuine person I've ever met. It's a women's retail boutique that offers a unique selection of clothes and apparel and accessories for all generations. So teenagers to 20 and up. It's magic. I mean, we've talked for years about what do we wear? I don't know what to wear at this age. I don't want to look like a teenager. This store is the store that has changed my outlook on how I appear as an adult.
Oh, that's so cool.
You
said it's a local store?
Yeah, it's local to Shawnee, Oklahoma, but they do ship.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to get on that website. What's their website?
Their website is mainstreamboutique.com. They also have a Facebook page, which is Mainstream Boutique of Shawnee. They're a apparel and accessories for multi-generations. Their mission, which I really stand behind, is to empower, strengthen, and celebrate women in the world throughout fashion. And I think that's so...
Oh, I love that.
And
I'm going right now to check that out, especially if they ship. That's awesome.
It's mainstreamboutique.com or Mainstream Boutique of Shawnee. We'll put all the links in our bio, but I have an exclusive for you guys. Are you ready?
What?
I talked to the owner today. For our listeners only, you get 10% off your full ticket items.
Oh my God.
All full priced items when you ring up, 10% off, whether it's online or in person. And if you go in person, tell them we said, hey, they said to use the code GABB for a discount code. And if you use our discount code, you get 10% off all full price items of your entire ticket. How cool is that?
That is amazing. I can't wait to go check it out.
Well, the next time you come visit me, we'll have to have a shopping spree.
I'm in.
GABB is your promo code.
Thank you for listening to Ghosts in the Attics, Bodies in the Basement, a Fearscape Media podcast. Music by Stephen Timperley. Artwork by Laura Ramsey. Find us online at fearscapemedia.com/GABB podcast or on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at GABB podcast or email us gabbpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you.